everybody, Alex from Android Central here with HTC's new flagship phone, the Sensation. This is a pretty big deal for HTC. It's their first dual-core phone, and it's also running a brand new version of the Sense UI, which we'll see in a little while. First though, let's just dive right into the hardware. We've got the usual 4 capacitive buttons down here, 4.3-inch QHD display, more on that later. Up at the top we've got a front-facing camera, next to the speaker grill. Around the back we've got the 8-megapixel main camera with dual LED flash. Up at the top there's a headphone jack and power button, volume rockers on the side next to the USB port. And if we want to crack this phone open, what we have to do is use this weird little latch thing down the bottom. We press that in and it takes a little bit of practice, but once you get it right, the phone basically jumps right out of its shell. So you see the front part of the speaker grill is detached, and around the back you can see this battery, SIM card slot and micro SD card port. So there you go, let's put it back together and we'll fire it up and take a look at the software. And here we are, this is the new Sense 3.0 lock screen. It's pretty different to what you'd see on any other HTC device. Normally what you do is pull this ring up to unlock the phone, but what we're going to do is use one of these shortcut icons instead. So pull a browser into there and it loads it right up. This is a really nice new feature. It lets you get straight into the app that you want without fumbling around in the app drawer, which is cool. So let's close that down and head back to the home screen, and this will be pretty familiar if you've used a Sense phone before. It's new Sense, but it's still Sense. You've still got the big clock widgets, you've still got the Leap feature. What is new is this 3D effect when you scroll from home screen to home screen. And if you scroll fast enough, this carousel mode will kick in. That's really cool. You spend a lot of time just playing with that if you get one of these phones. We've got some really nice visual changes in the Sense home screen widgets as well. One of which is this sort of weird parallax effect you can see when you scroll from screen to screen. Some of the widgets are made up of separate layers. So you can see here the clouds are actually slightly in front of the widget background. Let's move on to the app drawer and see what we've got. This is pretty much the same app drawer from Sense 2.1. Each page has 20 icons. You've got the tabs at the bottom for frequently used apps and downloaded apps. And here we've got the all-important 3D Dice app. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It uses the accelerometer. So let's just head back to the app drawer and take a look at what actually comes preloaded on here. It's mostly the usual Sense stuff, a couple of third-party things like Amazon MP3, SoundHound, a couple of interesting new features that we'll take a look at later like Watch and Reader. Before that, we're just going to dive in the settings and take a quick look at some software stuff. So we're on Sense 3.0 here, as you can see. We're on Gingerbread 2.3.3, so not the latest Gingerbread, but that's no big deal really. Next up, we're going to jump into the browser and see how that performs. I've always been a big fan of HTC's browser. It's always been one of the better customized browsers for Android, so let's load up Android Central here and see what happens. We're on Wi-Fi here, so it should be nice and fast, and here we are, loaded straight away. Scrolling even when the page is still loading is really nice and fast. Some other Android phones, I mean even dual-core phones, will sometimes stutter and lag a little bit when scrolling down the page, and there's absolutely none of that here on the Sensation, which is great. Even pinch to zoom and text reflow and things like that work really nice and quickly. So it's a fantastic browsing experience on the Sensation, and part of that is down to the higher res screen, the QHD display that runs at 960 by 540. The difference certainly isn't as big as the marketing hype would have you believe, but it is noticeable. So if you're in a page zoomed out with a lot of text, then the extra bit of definition is really nice. And of course that means that video and photo content looks awesome on the screen as well. So let's move on right now and take a look at some customization features. Customizing the UI is something that Sense has always been pretty big on, and that's something that's been expanded on even more in the latest version. So let's start off by taking a look at a really cool new live wallpaper in Sense 3.0. This is the weather animation live wallpaper. And what it does is it puts the new weather animations right on your home screen. So depending on what the weather's like, you'll get a different animation in the background and also a different sound effect when you first start up the home screen. And it's partly sunny here, so we've got these nicely animated glowing clouds, rays of sunlight coming through, so that's cool. In different weather conditions you'll get different animations, and we're going to show you a few of them right here. These are all very impressive. HTC's really gone to town on its animations in the weather app this time around. So let's just scroll through a few in demo mode. We've got sunny sky right here. It's a tunnel of clouds and lightning everywhere for thunderstorms. And we've seen these effects a few times before. They're on the Flyer and the Evo 3D as well. But it's definitely worth revisiting them. They're really nice looking effects. And it's great that you can bring them to your home screen in the form of a live wallpaper too. We really like that. So we're finishing up here with a rain effect, and like many of these effects, they actually look a little bit different at night as well. So if it were to be raining at night and you fire up the weather widget, you get a darker night sky behind instead of the blue sky that you see here, so that's a nice touch. Let's return to the personalization menu and check out some customizations for the lock screen. We saw the weather lock screen before with shortcut buttons and stuff on it, and there are actually quite a few to choose from here, so we can see the weather lock screen that we had selected before. Over on the right here we've got this new clock based lock screen, and we're going to select that and just select a clock widget to use. Let's use this one right here. So if we click select and then go and lock the phone, we'll see that it's come back to life with a brand new lock screen. So we've got our clock on there, we've got our shortcut buttons down there as well. These can be customized too. So what we're going to do is go straight back into the customization menu, and there's the option to not only change the clock widget that we're currently using, but also change the shortcut buttons down the bottom of the lock screen. So let's swap out text messages and replace it with something else. You can choose literally any other app you have on the phone, even third-party downloaded apps. I guess if you're in a DICE related emergency, you can put the DICE app in there as well, and yeah, get straight in there from the lock screen. What might be a little bit more useful though is Google Maps, so we've swapped that out now. I'm going to head back to the lock screen and take a look. And there you go, our new shortcut's on there, and we can just drag it straight into the ring and it'll load Google Maps up. Probably best to just kill that before it loads and reveals our location to the whole of the internet. So let's head back to the home screen and we'll move on and take a look at HTC Reader. HTC's preloaded some classics on here already, and there's a whole ebooks marketplace set up for buying more content if you're into that sort of thing. What we're going to do though is just take a look at one of the preloaded books really quickly, see how it works on the Sensation's large screen. So we're going to load up Alice in Wonderland, and because we've already looked at this, it's remembered which page we were at, which is quite nice. And there we go, it's loaded pretty quickly, and we've got some nice page scrolling on there. Works really well in landscape orientation as well, so that's good to see. It's always going to seem a little weird doing that kind of ebook reading on a device this small, but the combination of the 4.3 inch display and the higher resolution means that on the Sensation it actually works reasonably well, which is great. Next up we're taking a look at HTC Watch. This is their portal for movie and TV show downloads and renting and that kind of thing. It's the result of their buyout of Saffron Digital a few months ago. So there's quite an impressive amount of content on there, and of course there's the option to buy or rent as you'd expect. And because of the streaming technology that's used, you can start watching straight away, which is fantastic. You can stream trailers of all the movies on here as well, which is a really nice touch. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to fire up the trailer to Iron Man 2 and see how that goes. And there we go, straight in. It seems to be buffering a little bit, but I guess we'll just have to wait and look at Robert Downey Jr.'s face while that happens. Let's just give it a few seconds and see if it recovers. And there we go, we're back. And yeah, it's probably a little difficult to tell in the video, but streaming content does look really, really good on this phone. It's, again, probably down to the larger form factor and higher res screen. It's one area where the Sensation's QHD display really shines. Anyway, let's close that down and look at something a little bit different. There have been a few changes to the Sense keyboard in new Sense 3.0, and one of these new additions is what's called the Trace keyboard. So this is similar to Swipe. It's enabled in the keyboard settings. It's hidden behind quite a few layers of menu, so you could be forgiven for not spotting it straight away. But yeah, once you enable it, you get the option to trace a path through letters to spell out words just like Swipe. Only works in certain areas of the UI, which is a little disappointing. So for example, you can't use it to spell out URLs like you can with Swipe. But to be honest, it's not really a feature you're going to be using anyway, because as you can see here, it's pretty bad. It doesn't work particularly well, and yeah, I'd say probably half of the time you're going to get the wrong word coming up. So yeah, it's a nice idea, but it definitely needs some work. And in the meantime, we probably wouldn't recommend using it if you value your sanity. It's frustrating to use and just ends up slowing your typing down, unfortunately. Anyway, we're going to finish by taking a look at a new feature in Sense for managing memory and apps and that kind of thing. This is the Task Manager, which you can get to in the app drawer, but it's also in the notification area up at the top, next to all the usual Sense things. And what this gives you is a really easy interface for seeing how much memory you've got left and closing down any apps that might be slowing your phone down. Of course, Android gives you other ways of doing this, but for the average user this could be a really useful way to identify any apps that might be misbehaving and shut them down. So it might not be something that you use all the time, but it could help out quite a lot of people, which is great. Anyway, that's about it for our hands-on with the Sensation, and on the whole we're really impressed with it. It's a very fast phone with a fantastic feature set, so we're going to spend some more time with it and we'll have a full review written up in the next few days. Thanks for watching.